I was trying to remember, like the other day, like thinking about this episode. When we met for the first time was because I was friend of Gloria. Maybe it was Gloria
Gloria,
or Roger
Roger, I think
who
both.
introduced us. I don't I can't
Yeah,
remember. It's
I, th- I think it was both. I was working in BRB back then,
yeah.
and then we were about to start production for the first time in 3D, and Roger mentioned your name. But if you're going to start this, you should contact Miguel because he knows his
Oh,
stuff. He has a view of the whole process. He's doing this and that, and we were about to start co-producing one show called The Imp. You remember
oh
that?
yes, the with the studio from Malaga,
Red
maybe.
Kite. No, no, that was the Suckers. That
Oh,
was later.
Suckers. Oh, sorry. Which was what?
Well, it was a totally black and white show, shorts with
I
the. Actually, it was made with Lightwave. Talking about.
yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
remember. I Yeah, sorry. Yes, I remember. Yeah,
it
this
was
Suckers was the guy with the toys in
the
the back
Suckers,
of the
yeah,
car,
yeah.
and yeah, the other one was the black and white. Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we were talking about that. We were halfway, and we were start making more shows. And Roger said, "You should contact Miguel because if you start making more 3D, he's one of the few people
Mm.
back then in Spain that knows and have a taste because it's not just
Wow.
you have a. I mean, I mean, you're a very very technical guy, but sometimes technical people just go into the technical, and
Yeah.
then are less interested in the aesthetic part of it, and
Yes.
you have that taste, you have that feeling, and then you have that gut to say, you know what, it can be perfectly done on the technical side, but it can be beautiful on the outside.
Thank you.
And that was the nice combination. I remember we talk a lot. We
Yeah.
never happened to make something together, but we
Yes.
talk a lot.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember because I the thing it's a bit fussy exactly which year was for me and where I was at that moment in my life on when I was working because I was working in several studios in Barcelona,
Mm.
and in some point I had my own studio. I tried to produce my own stuff. Then that didn't ended up really well. Not the production stuff that well that didn't succeed, but the studio itself was kind of like a
Mm.
big indeed trauma. The studio was called Traumatic Studios or Studio, and was kind of a self-fulfilling process, like kind of, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was. But I don't remember if it was around that time, and I'm terrible. I'm terrible remembering stuff like dates and specific moments. I
Mm.
remember the whole, but not if you
Mm.
ask me which year or where I was
Mm.
working at that moment. I cannot tell you. Absolutely.
I mean, it's a bit. It's before my son was born, so I kind of have a better memory before
Ah,
after my,
ah,
my son was born. So I think it was be around 2006, 2007. I think around that
maybe.
time. And actually, I was thinking the other day about this chat. I think I even still have a project proposal you had. It wasn't animation; was a foodie kind of foodie project.
Oh my.
Do you remember that? I think I still have it somewhere in a hard disk
Maybe.
about food, traveling, and food and everything, something like that.
Oh yes, yes. That project we can talk. I mean, that project was that that project was Academy, I think, and that had some evolution on this project. But yeah, I'm sorry. The I think the podcast is about you, but just like I was just
I
jumping
just
on my stuff,
opening kind of
and
worms here and there in your brain.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I still have the rights for this one. I try to produce some stuff with other studios. I'm not gonna name it, but they I signed these kind of contracts that I just say
Yeah.
bye bye to everything. But
Mm. Yeah.
I was young, I guess. But okay, so you were in BRB, and if I don't know if people will know, but I mean BRB was very big. For sure in
Mm.
Spain and at least
Yeah.
in Europe, I think was big
Yeah.
in terms of like projects like the uh, how you say it in English,
The
around the
scope
world
of
in
projects.
Yeah, that but it was
Yeah,
before our time. Like it was
yeah.
and D'Artagnan was the
D'Artagnan, yeah.
yeah
D'Artagnan is in English. I think it's D'Artagnan.
D'Artagnan.
D'Artagnan, and also David Denom is huge. It went to the
Yeah.
States, and
Yes.
people also traumatized by the ending of David Denom in the States.
Oh, spoilers ahead. It's they become a tree, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly. That's
they die.
beautiful. That's
I think
poetic.
that's beautiful. Yeah, but back in the day, still today, I think today will be even more dramatic. But back in the day, it was still such a big
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
statement.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of very sad. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Disney did worse
Mm.
endings for people like characters. So
Yeah.
like very horrible
Yeah.
ones. So I guess that's no. But yeah.
Yeah. But BRB, as you're saying, is in Europe is a big name, especially the history of a company, how they started in the mid 70s, basically as a licensing company.
Mm,
Start also bringing animation from Japan, especially, and this is it was back in the day when Japan was doing a lot of co-productions with other European countries like
uh,
Italy or Germany, all these Marco, Haiti,
yeah.
and then or Vicky the Viking, and then BRB start bringing, or Maya DB, they're
Mhm.
bringing all these shows into the Spanish TV. Back in the day, it was only 1, 2 channels in TV.
Yeah.
So they grow too fast, and at some point they decide to produce, not only distribute but also
Mhm.
produce. And it's back when you're saying like all these big hits like Plutonian or On the World with Willy Fogg or they've been Denom, and they become huge big brands. Not only in
Yes.
Spain. In Spain was crazy, but also in Europe, and
Mm,
in the case of David Denom, even the States.
yeah.
And then I was born. Yeah, I'm from that generation that was born and
Yeah, me too.
raised that environment, which is still amazing how those projects work. And I had the lack of being of a second generation, meaning the people who grew up watching BRB shows
Hmm.
happen to have the opportunity to work in the
Yeah.
company.
Yeah. How you ended up there? I mean, you're from south of Spain, from Cadiz,
Yeah,
and Barcelona is kind of on the other, no, not on the other corner, but I mean, it's quite how. I guess you move to work in animation. I guess in Cadiz back then
yeah.
there was not too much options. I guess. I guess.
There's nothing. I mean, if Cadiz is such a beautiful tiny place
Yeah.
for just living there and ride
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I've been
move
only
around and
once.
eat.
I want to return. It's
Yeah,
fantastic. The
yeah,
food.
but
Oh, man.
yeah, but the animation industry is not special big in Cadiz. So I wasn't really. I mean, I started to be like a media and TV and cinema
Mhm.
production. So I studied in Sevilla,
I see.
and the thing is, as I was uh, learning all that, I wasn't super fond of a live action back then in Spain, the kind of things they were doing back then, and I was really so obsessed with animation. Back in the day, in the 90s, it was the golden age, the second golden age of Disney with all these Little Mermaid, Lion
Oh
King, and
yeah.
everything. And between us, I didn't really like those at all. I was back then already into the Akira, Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah. I
Uh,
see. Yeah,
so
me too. I
so I was like, okay, I want to do something different. I love animation, but such a huge world beyond that.
I don't remember watching Lion King. Actually, I saw the other day with my kid some parts, and I think I never watched it, the movie completely. Like
Mm.
same way I didn't um, watch it some of like some like Pixar or Disney movies. I didn't watch all.
Mm. Yeah,
If it's not like the like something that resonates with me, like to watch it, like
yeah,
even if it's if Pixar or one that I really
yeah,
admire, it's like kind of like I don't
mm.
go because it's this studio. I just go because it's
Yeah,
specific movie, let's say. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because you have to think that late 90s, you could have, I think it was 98. You have as an example of how was the industry back then. I think 98 was a Beauty and the Beast 2. It was back in the day direct to video, kind
Mm,
of with a baby version of a movie. It was a big success, and they tried to do so. Very, very, very young children and family audience, but very young. And then you had in Japan 2 movies totally different, like Mononoke Hime versus Mononoke, and something like Perfect Blue, which is it's like a big budget movie, and
Mononoke.
from Mononoke, the Ghibli
Yeah, yes,
Miyazaki,
I remember. I went with a
and
friend in Valencia to watch it on this theater. It was, I would say, 2000 actually when I
yeah,
watched it in Spain. So but I guess yeah, it took some time to arrive there.
yeah, yeah, and then Perfect Blue from Satoshi
Oh
Kon,
yeah,
and then you see, so you see, okay, this different animation is not just a genre, is a way of telling stories, and I wanted to do that.
yeah.
So yeah,
I remember getting all these movies like I don't know how they were. It was like internet was not that big back then, and but it was like selling like these catalogs that you get like they sell like VHS and things like that a catalog, and I don't know how I got one of maybe in a comic store in Valencia. I got this catalog. They have like a kind of like sales going on there, like if you order like more than 3 VHS or something, you get a big discount or something like that. So and that was in the 98 or 99. I was working at studio in Valencia called a Toon Factory. And I remember going with the catalog and asking all my colleagues, hey, do you want to get movies together? And we were like, I don't know how much was like a lot of money in pesetas, not yet euro back then. And I remember they sent us like huge box with all and VHS like, and it was all I got all this like Ghost in the Shell and all these adult themes like this Royal Space Force I think was called
yeah,
some like Pat Labor one of I think
yeah, but
two
label
maybe
or the
or both
ovas,
of
yeah,
them
back then,
both
yeah,
of
yeah,
them.
totally.
I can remember all the titles, but there were some titles like for adults, like Uroko Hidohi or something like that.
Yeah,
That some people,
those
and that was,
dodgy,
I
yeah,
remember it was like several copies of the same thing, like for
yeah,
several people in the studio. And I guess the guy who was selling that was selling what the hell is these people?
yeah, yeah, because yeah, you have something like a Ninja Scroll, the more
Yeah,
classic,
Ninja
and then
Scroll.
you have something with Doji. You're like, what is this?
Yeah. It's that people don't know that. Maybe it's better that you still don't know that.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
was kind of over the top, kind of
yeah,
yeah, very edgy thing. Nowadays, even
yeah,
for today's standards, it's super edgy. I think you cannot do that. It's
yeah.
nowadays. I don't know.
No, I think you can. They control much more. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was seeing that, and also another. We are talking about Japan, but also another project that was going on back then was a Bruce Timm Batman, Bruce Timm's Batman, which was also to me a game changer in the industry because it was animation for uh, not only for children, it was for a bit more not sophisticated, a bit more adult audience, and how
Mm,
they play Batman closer to the comic books, a bit darker, more the noir element in the comic books,
yes.
and then. I was seeing that there was a lot of things you could do in animation, especially in TV back then. Not in the theater movies, basically worldwide, it was just for children, except by
Yeah.
Japan. But in TV, there was a much more opportunity. So I really wanted to explore that, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's when I started
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
animation.
I think in the linear television, yeah, there was this boom. It was in the 90s. There, like with all the cable and satellite televisions, you had this like the my God, I'm just blanking here with the names of like Cartoon Networks and which one?
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon. And I remember getting one of my mom got one of these like packs of satellite thing that you had a lot. Like I don't remember,
Mm,
and I remember it was one channel that was only adult animation, like and that's
mhm,
something or not for kids. Let's say there was, and I cannot remember the name of the channel, but it was really awesome. This channel,
mm,
and it was not one of the. It disappeared short after that channel, but it was really great. And then you had
mm.
like MTV with liquid television and all these
Yeah,
short films like Ian Flux and things like that. That there was, it was yeah, but it was yeah, I think nowadays, well, maybe jump into to on the topic, but the you have way more like variety, and
Yeah.
that's maybe to the point of saturation. I don't know. How do you feel
Mm.
on that? Like, but
I mean,
more. Mm,
mm,
not. I would say like you have more niche kind of
yeah,
thematics or styles that you can
yeah,
go and say, okay,
yeah,
I like this, and you can find what you like more
yeah.
than before. There was maybe
Yeah, you
one.
have more variety on what is mainstream or not,
Yeah,
because you have mainstream is Encanto, and mainstream is something like Pinocchio, so Guillermo del Toro's
yeah,
Pinocchio, and mainstream is Into the Spider-Verse. It's
yeah,
just three totally different movies, and that's, to me, it's very good news. I mean, depending on your taste, you may like one more than the other, but I think it's great that you can have that variety. That back in the day, I think was only in TV, but now again, is mainstream. It's mainstream for quadrant movies, which is great.
yeah. I want to ask you a few questions towards the end, so I'm just taking notes. But yeah, the I think one thing that it makes me a bit angry sometimes it's because I'm living in Japan, and depending on the country, you don't have access to everything, but you can see
Yeah,
the trailers. You know what's out there, and you try to see. I was this how it's called, this website. I have an account that I put all the movies I want to see, and not only animation but everything, and then it tell you if it's available in your country, and many it's like 90% is not available here, and
yeah,
the ones I get available here, then there's well, if it's like, for instance, if it's English, okay, that's okay. But sometimes I want to. I really love like a Korean cinema, and there's a lot of Korean movies, and if you get it here, oh, I have this movie, or Wong Kar-wai movies. I want to rewatch Wong Kar-wai movies, and it's available here. No English subtitles, just Mandarin or Korean and Japanese subtitles, and that's
yeah.
like, why?
Yeah, that's
It's
the bad side of it, that you have access to a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, there are ways to find subtitles in English or Spanish, but yeah, you don't want
yeah,
to go
yeah,
there.
but I'm talking about Netflix and
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
other streamers like that that don't. I think Disney Plus is really great on that, better than Netflix.
Mm,
Netflix doesn't offer that
mm.
much of subtitles
Option.
in Japan, for instance.
Mm,
Interface, Japanese account, Spanish interface, no problem. The titles of the movies in Spanish, you go to the
yeah,
movie, trailer with subtitles, yes, click the movie, no subtitles, or only Japanese, and
yeah.
why?
But that's odd, because I'm sure they have the subtitles. I think
Yes,
they
I'm
probably
pretty
know
sure.
the market, and they care more or less. It depends on, okay, it's not gonna, because it's even more frustrating, I would say, to me, because I'm in Ireland right now, in Dublin, and sometimes when we go to Spain for a visit to visit the family, you have access to this huge catalog. Especially Netflix is much bigger
Yeah,
in Spain, and you have access to a lot of Spanish movies and Spanish content that is not available here in Ireland.
yeah,
Or if it is, it's totally, but I mean, to me, it's not a problem. But for example, for my Bible, is odd, because it's just a few kilometers away, and compared to Japan, and yeah, it's totally changed, and they treat differently the same material. So it's odd. It's odd. Yeah, all this streaming
yeah.
process.
Yeah. For me, it's like, yeah. I'm pretty sure they have the subtitles, but probably it's something more like technical kind of thing. How they handle like the back end
Mm,
of the servers and streaming technology, and
mm,
probably they don't ingest it on
yeah,
his database. I don't know
yeah.
how.
Yeah, for example, when we did the Pony movie, one thing I was super curious was to watch the movie with a South American Spanish accent,
Oh.
because normally the way they put it is very playful,
Hmm.
sometimes more playful than Spain's Spanish. So I wanted to watch that version,
Hmm.
and from Ireland wasn't possible, and from Spain it wasn't possible. And I said, they have all those measures. Probably that they don't want to really do such a heavy load
Yeah.
of material to make, and if they're not going to really have people looking for that, I just asked Netflix separately to, can I get a link to get this, and I got it, and there's no problem. But yeah, they have everything. They have subtitles. They have all these versions. Why they don't really make it viable for
Yeah,
the
I guess yeah, like it's the like it's servers. I mean, probably we were complaining here, but it is I don't know how
huge.
millions of
Yeah,
hours they have. If they have to
yeah,
put all the audio tracks
yeah,
or all the, I guess in some point it's like you need to be selective what
yeah.
you put there, and not even like the movie, but yeah, the associated data with that. That's unfortunate, but that's still like yeah, I would like the unless they put like a general English for everything, and then
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't have the Spanish or all the okay, but
I guess we will get into a point very soon if it's not possible. Maybe it's possible already and we are not aware, but probably you can customize your profile and then,
I did, but
but I don't know.
anyway,
Yeah.
that's just a big tangent here, and but it's very before you like going back to the VHS and all times like you you didn't have the access, so
Mm,
you were more ignorant and happy. Now you have the
yeah.
access, but when you cannot see it, it's very like
Mm. I mean, we had the thing also with the VHS, for example, with the if it was PAL or
oh
NTSC,
yes,
or with the DVD, it was a region 1, region 2, region 3. You have these
yes,
region 3 DVD players you can get, and all that. I mean, I
yeah,
still have VHS for NTCS and one for the PAL, and also I keep my region 3 DVD player
oh
for
yeah,
because I still have tapes and DVDs that
yes,
I want to play. So
same.
it's kind of yeah. But so we had similar situations. Just now we become lazy. I guess it's so easy. Just turn on and have everything, and it's
Yeah,
why not?
maybe it's that. Well, yeah, it's and sorry, well, let's go maybe back to the sorry, not the, we are just in the line of complaining right now, and that doesn't know the but just going back a little bit to your path on
Mm,
BRB, like you have because when you meant like you started working there and you start to direct projects there and also
mhm,
developing new projects like
mm,
doing all this and how was that? I mean, how the when you were doing that, or how do you start it? Is something that you proposed it there, or was more like a natural evolution
mm.
being there, or and
I mean, it was exciting times, and I think it was a mixture of a little bit of everything because it was back in the day. We are talking. I joined BRB, I think, early 2000s,
mhm,
and the thing is, it was when the market was changing a lot. So before,
mhm,
to produce a TV show, an animated TV show, you got one TV channel, and they pay you the fund, the project, and you produce it and everything. And it was the end of that. So in order to produce one animated show, which people I think is aware, it costs a lot of money. You have to start moving around. I mean, Spain industry is not as big as to really self
mhm,
fund all these projects. So you have to look for partnerships. And normally that means going to another studio in a different country to put a little bit more money, and then to go to another country to they put a little more money, and okay, we will do the scripts, you do the animation, you do the music, and you kind of start spreading all that. It was a bit of a taboo for the industry. Oh, a Spanish project should be done fully in Spain. And since
mhm,
BRB was coming, we were saying back in the 70s, were much open-minded. So they said, you know what, let's look out
mhm,
and think out of the box on what's the best way. And I was in BRB right there at that moment. And then they didn't have any complex about, okay, let's think out of the boxes, think about what's going on there. And then they were doing 3D basically only for features back then.
mhm,
And we're just saying, what if we try to adapt the CGI to TV shows? I mean, the only thing that was going on was that Jimmy Neutron based on the on the
yeah,
on the feature, and it was very heavy. And then was what if we try something smaller because we cannot afford that big of production. And then basically the concept was Looney Tunes,
mhm,
Bugs Bunny, and all those classics in 3D. Can we make non-dialogue slapstick shorts in a way that we can
yes,
do R&D, basically try things, learn, what are the limits of this, and then start exploring, and we move around the world to find where is the best place to start exploring that, and partner with those people. And then it was how we started, and we happened to especially start with Korean companies, which back in the day was also big good time for them, with a lot of people who were coming from the States with a lot of experience and willing to start doing new things. And I think it was a perfect match, the one side and the other. And it's when I started doing a lot of shorts, non-subject shorts, I think a few hundreds. It sounds like a bit of a, like literally a few hundreds of shorts.
I think that around that time, I remember before was this it was the standard at 26 for 26 episodes, that it's 26 minutes, so you have 4 minutes of advertisement in a linear television, so you can make your grid of programs 30 minutes blocks and things. I think it was the standard, and 26 episodes, I maybe because the season once a week, I don't know, something was this standard. And then that changed little by little, and then they start to have this like mix and match of different, like 52 for 3 minutes, or 15 minutes, 13 episodes. It was like kind of like a lot of different formats in terms of durations and minutes.
Yeah, because I remember the sales team in BRB who were doing it was a Bernard was a 3 minutes shorts. So they were saying we go out there, and as you're saying, nobody really wants this. It's too short. But they saw, it was an early stage of also for YouTube. Oh, it's funny and it's fast. So what they did was pack several episodes all together and then put it together, so it's more like a standard. I think they used to put 3 episodes together, so it was kind of plus the opening and the ending. It was a kind of like an 11-minute format, which was also the standard, the 52 per 11 and the 26 per 26. It was the two standards back in the day. And then how that started.
Yeah, and also like in Berna was like not dialogue. That was was very important, I think, in many let's say maybe many projects, because I remember I think was one of these workshops that the how you remember in Barcelona was this association of animation studios that from time to time did workshops and talks and
Animats.
I can't remember. I think was one of these workshops, and I think was Sergi Reg. You remember him?
Yeah.
That he was explaining.
Mira, he was Chromosoma de Mira.
From Chromosoma. Yeah, they start. I can remember the. Mira, yeah, exactly. Sorry, you say it, and it's just trying to think about that. Well, in the workshop, he was explaining how it was before, like in the production, like if you have dialogues, you sell it maybe to one television, maybe in Italy, and the big national television, something like that. So with the money that you get to selling that, what you pay is the dubbing, and and then you sell it the second time to another local television, and then is where you get some profit on that. That was very difficult.
It's not only the money, but also the time, because you finish the show and it's ready to be delivered. Because as you said, for the dubbing, it needs time.
Yes.
Sometimes even they for the dubbing, they sometimes even localize the sound design, because some cultures are very, very different.
Yeah.
So sometimes they also touch that. For example, in Spain, our culture is very used to the dubbing. Now less and less, but the dubbing. So normally when you do the dub, all the atmosphere, the background sound is really muffled. And we are used to that. But if you put a American person, a dub version of a movie, what's going on? It feels like a vacuum element in that. It doesn't really feel real. There's no air in there. It feels too clean. It feels odd. So, but normally for this non-dialogue show, it was finished, ready to be delivered internationally. And also you save time, which at the end is money, but it was so easy to really move around, especially in countries where it was hard to get. I think the first big sale of Bernard was really the kickoff for us was Cartoon Network US. It was the first time a show made in Spain, made in Cartoon Network US.
Oh wow.
And they did because they had back in the day, I don't know, on something called Sunday Pants, and they have shorts. I think very similar to what you were saying before about it's not adult shows, but not just Disney type of animation. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, they like this approach of the Looney Tunes in 3D
Mm-hmm.
approach we had, and they put Bernard with another profile of shorts all together in that segment of Cartoon Network, right before the Adult Swim moment where they just put even more adult. So we got that there in Cartoon Network US, which was super crazy for us. We didn't expect that, and from that, it was just very easy to move to BBC, or big that probably big partners that if it's non-dialogue will be probably taking longer to really reach there because they need proper dubbing studio approved by big channel. That means a lot of money. That is, as you said, you were saying, sometimes you don't have the budget for that because otherwise you don't really have any money to get. So it was also a game changer to decide to go non-slapstick. And also on the personal professional side, I learned a lot about storytelling because you have to tell a story and tell character problem. Not only in a short, which is 3 minutes, or sometimes one of the shorts that we made was around 1 minute or 1 minute and a half, but also with a dialogue. So you have to be super visual, and then you learn a lot. And when you do a lot of those, you get a muscle.
Yeah. So after Bernard, which one was the next one? I cannot remember.
I think, if I don't remember wrong, I think I started working in something called Angus and Cheryl with another
Oh
Korean
yes,
studio,
it was the
which,
spring,
yeah,
the
the toys
spring,
with it,
spring.
with Spring.
Yeah,
And
that was
I
super
and
funny.
it's
I remember that
it
one.
was great, and the Tuba studio is amazing studios.
Oh yeah,
We have
too.
a lot of fun doing a lot of the shorts. You know, the idea, the way we used to play those episodes was that we pitch ideas and then the premise of a story, and then thumbnail, how it grew, use minute and a half stories, and then how we can evolve and look for jokes, punch up jokes, and it was all those meetings were so fun to work with, and it's fun because at the Tuba animation studio, people will now recognize the name better if we say Larva, the project, which is huge
Larva.
in the end. And I have a story for that because I was there when the Larva project was
Oh,
born, which is basically was born from one of the stories of Angus and Cheryl. It was an episode where the two main characters were doing night out in the forest, and then one of the characters got stuck in the sleeping bag, the zipper, so couldn't move. So it was basically moving like a worm. It couldn't move, and the animators just wanted to. They would keep it pitching. It's gonna be so fun. Just they cannot move. It's like a worm, and with the limitation, you're gonna start making a lot of crazy movement with this and that. And then it was such an episode. You watch the episode and I say, okay, it's fun. It's not the best, but it was fun. But there was the very first
I see.
sparkle that later, because when we finished the production, they started making
It's
the larva, and they showed it to me. It was
it's
amazing. It was
funny you
amazing. It was
name
great. I love it.
you say because I was like I'm not gonna lie to you, but maybe a couple of weeks ago watching Larva with my daughter. It was-
It's great. It's great.
they
I
have
love
this.
it.
I don't know if it's a special something or which season is that one, but it's this guy in the island and they are in the island and it's like crazy and there's a lot of. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hilarious how and it's. But it's very new. I mean, this is. I think it's not
It's
this.
so refreshing. It's
It's
so
new.
refreshing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
it's so
still
refreshing.
doing. I think. That
They
one.
have some specials. They do parodies of Power Rangers and the Avengers and everything. Even Avatar is great. It's great.
Oh really?
It's one of
I need to check
the
out
TV
that.
shows. I mean, I don't know how many seasons
Larvatar.
they've done. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Just bloopers. It's so funny. It's one of the best shows I think on TV right now.
Okay.
And as I said, kids love it. Small kids love it. Adults love it. For some reason, I wouldn't recommend to watch it before or after lunch or a meal because sometimes it can go super
No,
gross. But
yeah,
I'm fine. I'm fine.
it's
But
okay.
if you're a bit sensitive, just be careful about that. But it's so fun. So
Yeah,
they're
they're
great.
larvae, so what do you expect?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was. It's Yeah, and I have to say, like in the technical side, the rigging, it's quite amazing how
Yeah.
I wonder if it was single rig or they have different rigs for different sections, because it's quite of a range of motion, like really.
I mean, I'm pretty sure throughout the years they have really
Mm,
polish and polish and polish. I'm pretty sure it was very limited at the very beginning,
mm,
and then probably now they have all this huge
mm,
variation of, because they know all the extreme posing and how much they can stretch things.
mm,
So probably they have much more
mm. And
sophisticated.
yeah, and in terms of these projects and the next ones, how how did you, I mean, the projects were like original ideas, or there was like some of the projects that maybe someone you knew that they had this idea and you took over like to help him and make it happen, like how was the, like normally there was a pattern or depends of the project was different?
I mean, depends on the project. One of the most beautiful things of animation is there's no formula for
Mm,
success, or there's no, and every project, for example, in this profile of production, I was mentioning that you fund a show just moving around the world,
mm,
meeting a partner studio in Korea, we are saying, or in France, or in Italy, or in the
mhm,
UK, and then meet new people, new artists with a different total mindset. And then it's like that you're starting a new job every year and a half, every 2 years, you start from scratch, learning
mm,
new things, new muscles, and that was the great thing we had back then. So these projects in particular, each one was a different way. So for example,
mm,
the Bernard in particular, the studio who had these two shorts or three shorts, I don't remember, at the very beginning, they were working on a movie actually where Bernard was, it wasn't the main guy, it was one of the main guys, but it was a kid, the main guy. And as a kind of R&D, while they were doing the movie, they had these shorts, and they
mm,
wanted to sell the shorts. They wanted to sell the movie, but they had these shorts to show the skills of a studio. And we get to see those shorts, and we fell in love with it. You know what? The movie is okay, but we like the shorts. We think there is interesting parts in the shorts, not in the
it's a
movie.
spin-off. Like,
Exactly. Also, that was the thing for the Angus and Sherry, for example. They had these shorts about these two toys. It was also back in the day after Toy Story. A lot of CGI people were doing stories with toys.
mm,
It was a way of, and then they have a bit violent short, super fun that won a few awards. And we like the idea of this boy and girl spring toys, how they play the dynamic. And then what if instead of just two kids has two toys in a room, which you have seen already in a movie, high budget movie with a lot of success, and you're gonna start seeing in so many shows trying to mock the same thing. Why don't we just create a new world where these cards are? So we
mm,
kind of take it from there and then partner and develop together what is the best way, what kind of characters, what kind of profiles, what kind of concept, and we develop from there. Another example with I think the next one I work on was Suckers, which
mhm,
we did with Genoma Studio in Granada, which is also a great experience. And also, if Bernard was the first show sold to the Cartoon Network US, Suckers was the first one sold to Disney XD back then,
oh,
Europe, which was great to work and develop with them. And with the guys in Granada, we were basically they have this teaser which was amazing with
mhm,
jump cuts, and
yes,
then they wanted to do something a little bit more preschool.
mhm,
It was more like Pocoyo days, so they wanted to be very
yeah,
educational on the way Pocoyo was. And then you know what it's really amazing from this is just jump cut and the static camera. Can we try to tell stories with that
mhm,
limitation? And that's why we start making all these shorts, just single camera, jump cut, just using the element of a car passing by in front of a car. And with that limitation, we start creating a new world on the universe. And it was also from the creative ping pong between the guys, Juanma, Fernando in Granada, and myself. And it was really great
mm.
to work on that. It was really, really amazing project.
That I remember all these projects and yeah, where I really admire you, like back then, now of course, but back then also, like you were you I was, I mean, I always had this kind of like I was doing like the technical stuff, rigging and my technical things, but also like like tried the side hustle of trying to produce something, do something, and I never succeed to anything. So like, I mean, but I learned
Don't lie.
on the on the, but it was like, yeah, as someone to look for, like to, how you say in English, like
Mm,
to look like and see, okay, he's doing it, so it's a good inspiration. I'm gonna try.
mm,
And I tried when I was on my own studio, then when I was in Chromosoma also, but for different circumstances. I mean, it's super hard. And
mm.
the well, the other day, I read a quote from Guillermo del Toro. I don't know if it's a new quote, like, or it's something old, but he says something like the natural state of a film is not happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard similar things from other people. Like basically, it's a movie or project made, animation or just live action is a miracle.
Yeah.
It's a just movie produced when people like, oh, it's so it's whatever. Just the fact that it's been made is a miracle. So
Mm.
we should be celebrating that happened. There's so many projects that never happened. So many projects that never happened. So in that sense, I consider myself lucky because, of course, I have a lot of things that didn't go well or the way we expected, or didn't go because they got lost in the process of
Mm.
development or production didn't work. So as you said, yeah, the normal state of the project is not to be, but not to exist. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of, and but yeah, it was. I mean, it was a period of, like, very interesting. I think I learned a lot on terms of how it works, everything, and I feel now, and this is one of the reasons because I'm starting the podcast. Also, like, I almost everything I learned back then, it doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah, which is great.
It's great, but at the same time, it's like, okay, so well, how how we do
Yeah,
now,
I
and
mean,
it's
I would add, yeah, they don't apply now because the world has changed, the market has changed. But I'm sure a lot of the things you learn on the personal side, on professional side, you're not aware, but you're using them because of you have
yeah.
mastered certain things. But yeah, I mean, it's totally different game now, totally different game.
So and moving, like, so you spend like many years there and in BRB, and then I'm sorry, but I lost kind of track on sorry,
Yeah,
it was like no, it was a lag on the video. I just stopped it. Sorry. The no, I lost track of where you ended up. Like I for a few years. I mean, we
mm,
recontacted like maybe a year or something ago, but
yeah.
all these years, that maybe more than 10 years, I don't know what you
You've been
did
doing,
or
yeah.
where you when there are when you left
Mm,
BRB.
mm.
Actually, still BRB still exists, or is they're still doing? I'm not
No,
sure
I mean
yet.
recently the most recent move is I think I don't know if it's officially closed, but Planeta
Oh,
Junior Planeta, the Planeta has bought all the catalog of
I see.
BRB. So which is great. I mean, it's great. It's just to keep it alive. There's a lot of brands and IPs that work.
Yeah.
So I think it also. So yeah, as I was telling you, one of the good things of working in BRB was two things. One, I have people on the management side that allow us to explore and experiment,
Mm-hmm.
which was great. And dealing with studios worldwide, I had the chance to live here and there and there and there, move around, learn from people, masters in Armand animation from Korea, from that was an amazing experience. And then at the same time, since they have the but BRB brand, which was gives the market some security. Okay, these guys are gonna
Yeah, it's
execute. They're
prestige.
gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna. I mean, prestige is not a major when you think globally,
Mm.
but in terms of Europe and the TV market,
Well,
all the history they know. If they commit to say they're gonna
mm.
have by this time this project, they will have it. So that they give you the trust to get
Yeah.
funding. So that was very nice environment to be playing with. And then after a few more projects like that, quite a few, and as I was telling you, some of those projects didn't work out. I then had the chance I was trying to do something a bit different. So I was working with some Korean friends on a different show, and that I happened to contact through that project. And as I said, for some certain reason, I cannot talk about it because it's in different hands right now and everything. But my name went to the Hasbro people to see if I would like to be working on a Transformers project.
Oh, I see.
And then I say, well, yeah, it's not the brand I love most from Hasbro, but
I mean, Transformer,
but
it's
it's, but,
amazing,
but,
man.
but it's great. But it's great. I mean, it's great. So of course, yeah, I want to go there. And it was a very, very interesting story. Again, I cannot really talk about what was going to be the story, but as it happened so often in this world, after I think 6, 8, 9 months of development, Bible and the things, and then suddenly it was back in the day when Marvel was all the Marvel universe was kind of growing and growing about the crossovers, things, and then Hasbro at some point wanted to do something similar with certain brands they have. Transformers, GI Joe, Micronauts. They wanted to do some. So there was a switch on the focus on that goal. So they decided to shelf a little bit for a while because they have another in a company like Hasbro, the toy element and the business element sometimes gets. I mean, it's great. I have nothing but good words, and one thing I learned and I really it tattooed in my brain and heart since the beginning is Brian Goldner, the CEO of Hasbro. But when I started, he passed away sadly 2 years ago. But to me, is a personality like Steve Jobs, but in our industry, in the sense that he took Hasbro, a toy company by old style, and said, you know what, let's make characters and stories, and then people will like to buy the toys. But if you don't have characters and stories, this is just all fake. And it's when he started making all the Transformers movies with Michael Bay and all this.
I see.
So it was a game changer in our industry. And then that when I was there, it was the idea. This was something which is character center, and then enjoy a lot. But as I said, it was put on hold. Okay, it was fun. Thanks everybody. And about to leave, they were, what about My Little Pony? Okay, it's a big jump from Transformers to My Little Pony. But we start talking. How would you do it to make it interesting? How you would do it? And then at some point we got trapped in the pony net and fell in love with the ponies and the rainbows and the glitter, and
That's
the rest is history.
I watch it with my daughter. Not only your movie, but also I don't, maybe not all the episodes, but the 2D series, the new one also. Like
yeah,
it has some topics like actually it's. I mean, I was surprised that some of the themes they touch it's quite like not like all lollipops and happiness. I mean, they had some edge there. I have to say, or well, more than I expected. Let's say like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cultural icon right now.
Yeah.
The My Little Pony, because it's a story that actually this year is becoming 40.
40.
So it's from 83, and then they have so different. They call it generation. The different iteration they call it generation. So from generation 1 till now generation 5, which is the one we work for the movie. So many different iterations, and especially G4, the generation 4 with Lauren Faust. It was the one that really kicked out and then opened the spectrum from show for little girls to something bigger and broader.
Yeah. So when you started, like you had this opportunity to move from Transformer to My Little Pony, but when was that? Because the movie was released last year.
Yeah, in 2021. We are
21.
Late. Yeah,
I thought it was last year. It was so fast. Why?
Yeah, even faster.
It's 2022 has been a blast, like shoo, super fast for me.
Especially with the lockdown and everything, all those ages kind of.
Yeah, it's a very yeah. So it has been normally. I mean, animation is a multi-year kind of endeavors always. Normally, but this one, how long since you started like to like this conversation? Okay, let's do this project until was finished.
I think it's 4 years and a half.
Four
Yeah, I
years.
think we start
Wow.
2017, and the movie was produced in Ireland, in Dublin, Boulder Media, with Hasbro, originally with Paramount,
Hmm.
and then later with Netflix because of the streaming thing and with the COVID and everything. But we can talk about that later. But yeah, we started 2017, and the thing is Boulder Media, which is a studio back then acquired by Hasbro.
Hmm.
They have experience on basically in 2D animation. They
Hmm.
did Gumball, they were Gumball, and they have
Oh, Gumball! It's
yeah. So they have a
that
great experience
series.
of El Tigre, El Tigre. So they have a great 2D reel, but in 3D they don't have any experience.
Wow.
So it was a three challenge in one. Three challenges in one was a
Wow. Well,
making the team, gathering the team,
yeah,
making the pipeline,
that's.
and make the movie. So
It's
it
very
was a
impressive. I have to say, technically wise, it's amazing. The movie. I was because I was a movie, but I was paying. Oh, look at the deformation there, or look at the articulations. Here on the chest, how well it's because I know this is difficult when you have quadrupeds and things like that. I was sorry, I was not maybe paying attention to the whole kind of story, but sometimes I have these kind of divergent thoughts on
totally.
on the technical
But I
part.
think that's the magic of that movie. I think it's every single person who worked on the movie
Mhm.
really put all their heart and soul. So you can tell when they're doing
Yeah,
the idea was okay, we want to do these ponies in 3D. They have to be one of the concepts was it has to be pretty, it has to be beautiful because
yeah,
it's a concept of My Little Pony, and then how we can make it in 3D with we have much more elements and tools to really make
mm,
this something you want to hug, and then how all the departments from the art, modeling, rigging, how we can really implement and constantly talking to each other. Oh, the rig found this. Oh, this is breaking here. Oh, go back to modeling. Oh, what are these? Oh, the eye is too big. Oh,
yes,
back and forth until you know very well. But the goal was how we can make it
yes,
the cutest pony ever made,
yeah,
and that was the goal, and really charming. And the fact that whenever you watch a movie with somebody, and
mhm,
after is 83 minutes, uh, nobody questions that they're watching a movie with talking colorful ponies. They really buy from the very beginning, and
yeah,
that's the power of all this the team that such an incredible work to make all this thing believable. So that's amazing.
yeah.
I was at the very beginning how talking about yourself like how the technical side and the aesthetic part should be together.
Yeah, I try like if like for instance when I work supervising projects and like TV series or movies or now I'm doing also a lot of games, but maybe this is for another conversation. But the um the iteration, I mean rigging is something that sorry, I'm just gonna just gonna put my little like reivindication here. It's probably
Yeah,
one of the departments on the animation, especially when the making ofs there.
yeah.
There's never show, there's never talk, there's not exist. So it's the most that you see is the obviously the talent, the cast, the
Mm,
voices, actors, because they're
mm.
probably some people is famous. So for that, I understand that. And animation and render and comp, but the rigging, it's well. Anyway, sorry, I'm
No, no,
going in a tangent here.
no, but actually, I agree. I think one of the, I mean, as you were saying, you don't see, but with a proper rigor,
Yeah,
in the character,
thank you.
you're lost because the animation cannot do anything.
But
So
yeah,
the animation can go beyond because they have the tools. If they don't really have that,
yeah,
I mean, it was really hard for us to build the proper rig for this. Or
yeah,
with,
getting,
imagine the Pegasi with the wings and
yeah.
everything, all the limitations. But again, we're just talking because it has to work
Yeah. Well,
physically, and
yeah, but sorry, my point was
was
before I go into all these crazy tangents, it was like the normally when I start rigging in design. In if
mm,
not always you have this opportunity, but in some
mm,
projects, if we can get early on, we
yeah.
start reading and thinking on the design. So when they start like not even finish the script, but they start having all the art develop and everything. So I've been like I had like the opportunity in several projects to be there and have like even going over on animatics and things like that with the director and giving feedback on, oh, these actions, you have this design. I think from the beginning to not
Yeah.
to fiscalize anybody or to try to turn down things that because they're maybe too difficult, but just to make
To be
everything
aware. Yeah.
the flow more smooth. And in other projects, and that's not and I can tell you like the project, like we were almost one of the last departments to stop working because
Yeah.
when there was in the in we did this movie for Netflix for Altered Carbon, the anime. I don't know if you saw
Hmm.
it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ultraviolent.
It's nice. It's a nice one.
Thank you. Well, anyway, I really like the project, and
Mm.
but the thing is, we because it's kind of like this anime with lines, very I would say like Spider Verse. That we had all these lines and everything. It's like the sweat, everything is rigged on the face, and at the end when we were in comp, that animation was finished, everybody was finished. We realized that some of the decisions we took in some didn't work, so we had to replace the texture that was painted something with actual rigged parts that
Yeah.
work in the animation, that you cannot touch the animation because there is no animation department anymore working on the project. It's just like finishing. So we
Yeah.
started very early uh, analyzing the designs, the first sketches, and we ended up not like at the end, but on comp, like finishing stuff to help people on comp to do mask or things like that, changing the rigs
Yeah.
to help that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was
I mean,
like intense project.
I
Very
mean, what you're saying for us in Pune, for example, was super crucial. Whenever we have as you know, especially when you go for this profile of projects, you go through the traditional studio procedure, which is the process of making a story grow, and you are constantly revising the script through the
iteration.
reels and everything. I mean, basically, we delivered the movie in July 21st, 21, and then we finished the movie. The story we locked the story on February that year. So think
It
about
was
how many
few
iterations
months
of
before
stories.
was.
We were looking certain sequence, certain shots, but there were things always in the air, many balls in the air, and then we were constantly, whenever there's a new change of a sequence, constantly checking with the animation
Mhm.
rigging. We are making the pony do this. Is possible, or how can we make it possible? For example, it's a
Yes.
musical, so we want to make the ponies dance, and we have this fun idea, which okay, let's make every song different styles. So from rock
Mhm.
to Broadway musical, super fun on the paper and to pitch, but when you have the animators and the riggers, thank you very much. You're changing totally the style
Uh,
for this sequence. So we are constantly talking to the guys, to the departments to really see, okay,
mhm.
how can we go to this, and then think back and sometimes tweak the reel to make everything smooth, as you said. This super basic. When
Mhm.
you face up a project like this, communication should be key.
Uh, yeah, I think like it's iteration, and sometimes you need to iterate in all the departments, not only one. Like even
Yeah,
to the point to do to throw away some sequence or shots or
yeah,
like a lot of work
yeah,
that it cost a lot to do, like in like time
yeah.
and then you realize, oh, I need to revisit that or change it, or
Mm.
yeah, it's
I mean, it's heartbreaking. For example, in the following with the pony example, when you see some of the people who work in the movie, let's say, for example, a storyboard artist, story artist, that maybe we work with them by sequences. So we will break down the script into sequences and go, okay, you do this sequence, you do this other sequence. And some of the great members we have of a story team in the pony movie,
Mhm.
none of the sequence they work on did the final cut on the edit.
uh,
So it's hard for or let's
yeah,
say one guy who was doing some design of a pony and they don't do the final cut. But it's hard for those people to say, okay, I work in this movie,
yeah,
but if I show you my reel, it's not up there. But I was talking to them and say, you know what? The thing is, yeah, you cannot show, but you can tell. We get to this new, better version because we did this with you, didn't work out, so it make it better. So is it the rig? You don't see the rig, which is awful thing to watch. If you just want to see the pony super glamorous
No,
pony, you don't want to
I
see
mean,
the rig.
you don't
But
want to see
but
the rig actually,
but
for
but
real.
without that, I mean, probably if you see the rig, you can also get the sparky eyes. Oh, it's so beautiful. But it's not
No,
the average audience.
no,
So
no.
thanks to those explorations and work, you get to a better. So it was movies at the end is that's why they put all these credits. It's not just one person, one man
Yeah,
band. Shows
yeah,
so many people working just for one thing, and that's the beauty. So it's maybe your part doesn't feel to be there, but it's there. It's there.
yeah. And how I'm curious because this movie was co-directed with
Yep.
a colleague. So how you managed to? I mean, I like how is the work between two directors like co-directing? It's like maybe one is more like animation biased director, so he can direct more acting, and the other it's more like maybe editing, or they have his strengths, or how or it's just sequence. Okay, you're gonna direct this sequence so you can focus on like and you're gonna direct this sequence so you can parallel certain process. I'm just very curious, and I guess it's not standard, so may vary from.
I mean, I can speak by my experience, which is again, this is no formula. I think when you see it more and more, there's a lot of, especially animated movies, you see them signed by two, sometimes even three. Spider-Verse has three directors, so you see more and more. And then I hear from other projects that sometimes, as you're saying, they divide. Okay, I'm gonna be in charge of layout. You're gonna be in charge of animation and lighting. So it depends on the way Rob, Colin, and myself have worked together. Is we've been together just shoulder by shoulder, seeing everything, discussing everything, and deciding on everything together. And one great thing I would say from Rob is he's such a talented guy and no ego. And I think for myself, I don't have that much of an ego either. So we always try to be in this relationship, try the best for the movie. So let's say we got a version of the story, and one of us like it very much. So the other one immediately plays a devil's advocate. Are you sure this is the best? Is there a way we can make this better? And the other way around, the other one is super happy. What about this other thing? So we compensate each other in that sense, and we look at the things together from the very beginning till the very end. So that was an amazing. I know that can be hard sometimes, but I think the personalities we both had, we matched. It was a kind of perfect yin and yang, and it was such a great experience. I mean, we spent together 4 years and a half. That's like going to high school or university with somebody.
Yes, actually, yes. The
Him than with my wife. So yeah, we have to get along.
yeah, I was thinking like, yeah, many directors like live action. I mean, you have the author, but even the author like they have the editor. It's like the other co-director, almost like well, I don't know with the percentage, but I will say like it's I will say it's a co-director in many situations, if not all. Like this is very important, the edition, and when it's live action, of course, in animation we can edit upfront, kind of, because we I mean the process is different, but that's but even that I guess you can after I mean edit and add and remove and make even like reshoots.
Yeah, I mean, in that sense, also, yeah, our editor Inbound, she was great, and she was like our confessor. Sometimes we just get into the dark room together watching the reels, and again, having been to people, sometimes when the hard times come, it's also easier to really cheer up. It's not just yourself
Yeah.
alone dealing with that. Okay, we have to start over. We come out of a test, screen test, didn't work out well, have to start over or redo a lot of things. If you're alone, it can be tougher than if you have another partner. So in that sense, Rob and I work very well, and with Imba also that third side, as you're saying, it also help a lot to really reinforce, question, but reinforce is both things: help and support, but also question. So you try to stay
you can
fresh eyes always.
Yeah, it's normally you need to take some distance sometimes if you're working alone, and then revisit maybe the day after or even the week after, and have
Yeah.
not. But when you're working together with another person, and both you can throw balls more quickly, or have this kind of second point of view immediately, or I think it's, I mean, it's a great work. I mean, a great way to work. Like if you can have, a partner. I think in direction, and there's many aspects that you, it's
Yeah.
very difficult to direct. My opinion.
I mean, another element I would say that sometimes is also overseen, and it's gonna sound like I'm trying to weigh detail, but it's really true. It depends a lot of who's your producer.
Mm,
Our producer was on the Pony movie was Cecil Kramer,
mm,
such an experienced producer coming from DreamWorks and a lot of projects in animation, so she knows her stuff. He fell in love with the project, and she really support and Rob and myself. Given times when hard decisions, she always also support. Help us to question, and are you
yeah.
sure it's good enough? Do you want to rethink? So she was cool enough as a producer to challenge us. Do you want more? Do you need more? And at some point, okay, you cannot do more. So it's like both sides. And she was amazing. She really embodied the spirit of a pony movie and really made the movie be what it is at the beginning. And I can imagine with a different producer, the movie would never ever been done. So sometimes people don't think about how important is a producer to make the movie, to respect the movie the directors or the studio wants to make. She was great.
At the end, I think every member of the team,
Yeah.
it's important, and obviously there are people that, because the position they have more responsibilities. They take decisions, the executive decisions, like that. Obviously, other people it's doesn't have that responsibility. But at the end, everybody, if someone, um, like any person, like if it's a junior modeler, or to put an example, someone that maybe doesn't have that power of decision on, I don't want to this design, I don't like it, I want to model the other way around. But if you have this team, the people that it's always like pushing to do his best, and to communicate and to share his ideas, like I say, if it's just put this example because it's maybe clear, like a junior modeler or a junior, and he put this and say okay, and the team, or the communication, it's good enough to have this communication, that it's upstream and downstream. At the end, it's much better. And for my experience, I la- especially last year's has been very good, because I had the luck to work with several teams that are that kind of team, that everybody's trying his best. There is no like bad moods, or like I understand it. It's for a greater good, or to improve
Yeah. Yeah.
the project, and it has been a fantastic. But yeah, if going in other situations, I've been in place in situations where that was not granted. I mean
Yeah.
that
Yeah. As you said,
like,
it's
yeah,
different. It's
can you change this, and there's or the animator, or the it was like horrible look, or like you feel like this kind of frictions happening on teams, that it's
yeah.
like you don't want to ask more, even if you think maybe can be better, or because
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's very hard, and it sounds maybe like a very obvious thing what I'm going to say, but it's one of the big task director has to make in a movie or project is be sure everybody's doing the same movie or the same project. So everybody's pushing the same goal. It's not that okay. For example, you're saying this person, I'm not really interested, because I'm not really into these projects or whatever. When I ask for a change, I don't really understand or see why. What's the point on that note? So I don't care. Or on the other side, another extreme case, some people just basically doing their real because it's not super. They want to do something good, but they don't care about the whole thing. Typical example would be okay, an animator that is making a shot super good, but it's not thinking that that shot comes after a totally different shot where the animation is of the character is different, and there's another shot after that, and they don't have the global vision, the bird eye view to understand. So one of the big tasks of a director is like, okay, give people the context to understand this is a movie, this is a thing, and then it may look good on your reel if you do this, but for the movie this is better, and if it's better for the movie, it's better for you as well. So you have to really talk and communicate that to the every single member of a team, and then sometimes that takes a lot of time. Sometimes it doesn't work, but when it works, it really makes a difference, because we know from movies that historical big hits movie that work out without having people pushing in the same direction. But that's even we were talking about how crazy is to make a movie possible done. This is a miracle. So it's even biggest incredible miracle in a movie like that when not everybody's pushing the same direction is made. I think it's even crazier that happened. So that's one of the big tasks, and also sometimes overseeing the task of a director.
Yeah, it's yeah, definitely. It's like you say, like every project that you start, you're gonna be with this team for a month or years probably, and it's kind of fresh start, and again, it's fresh risks also coming with that. But yeah, when it's everything arrives to a good port, it's very fulfilling, and I like I'm yeah, and I and it feels, I don't know how to say it like that, but you create relations that are I think they can. It's not like something that you do and then you finish with the team. It's like you create relations beyond the project, let's say. And if you I mean I think like if someone working with me, I'm lucky like to work with you again. That's kind of like the like you're looking forward to work again with the same people, or and yeah.
I mean, it's very hard to make a movie. So when you connect with somebody, that in that flow vibe is so unique that you want to repeat, because you have to be sure to move to the next project. You know it's going to be hard. You know you're going to sweat. You're going to cry. You're going to bleed. So you better know who you go with. So that's one of the big things. If you can choose who you work with, you can go to war with. That's one of the biggest thing you can do.
This is, and I don't know. So if I can ask, but I know you probably you work in something else, or how is the future looking for you now? Like,
I'm very busy doing many things, so many different things, but in a good way, not just crazily whatever. I mean, after 4 years and a half doing ponies, of course, I think my brain needed. Also, coming from that time we were talking before, where I was normally every 2 years, I was doing 2-3 projects, finishing 2-3 projects fully, meaning my brain was working at the same time with 3-4 projects. So from that pace, I went to a moment pony 4 years and a half focused on only one thing for the first time in my life, just only one thing, totally different change of and then in that sense it was so intense. So before jumping to another intense, I went back to some write some ideas I had, and I had again 2, 3, 4 things in the air, balls in the air, talking to the studios, also getting some insights from my managers in what's best. Doing some illustrations for a book. I'm having fun with that, developing pilots. So having fun with that. I'm not in a rush to start a production right away, and choose well. So consulting a lot,
enjoying the process. It's
I mean, working like that. I'm working on and producing some stuff and producing some pilots and everything. That's great, but not fully producing anything yet. Maybe soon, if we speak in a few months, maybe we can say more.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I at the time I'm. This is the first episode I record for this podcast. I don't
I'm so
know. I think
I'm
I'm
sorry for that.
gonna put it online in chronological order. So, sorry. Yeah, I don't know if I told you that. So, but yeah, definitely. I hope I can repeat because I really like with the other podcast I have that it's for rigging more technical. I always go in tangents with talking about these topics because we all work in animation. So. But I just wanted to do something that we can just go and talk
Yeah.
about this creative process, how like the like I don't like the word business or but the industry or like how really is to be uh like directing and producing and doing
Mm,
animation nowadays and
mm,
this is something that yeah I think it's missing a voice or at least I didn't find
mm,
anything like not only talking about the art that of course is
mm,
important but the nitty gritty the reality the how
yeah.
I get to pay my bills how I can make a living of this how are the different paths because everybody has his own path his own way to do things like
Mm.
yeah
I mean, in artistic world, like our businesses anyway, our industry, the thing is, everybody is so passionate about their own idea, and
yeah
everybody has this idea. Oh, we have the great idea, the best idea. We have to produce. But if just give some perspective on that, if you think like something like Frozen, it took more than a year, 9 years to be
yeah
done, or somebody like Guillermo del Toro with Oscars in his career and everything has taken 15 years to do Pinocchio.
like yeah
So you get a feeling, okay, it's not that easy. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes I think I heard from somebody was very funny. Say, you know what? Sometimes talent is overrated. Talent is important, but sometimes just constant work, keep working, keep working, keep working, can be more rewarding than the talent. So don't forget, you have the talent. That's great, but keep
yes
working to get that.
I agree
Again, 15 years for Pinocchio, somebody like Guillermo del Toro, you would expect they
yeah
can get fun like this. No, it's not like that.
yeah the there's another one I don't know from who is this one but it say like something it was 10% inspiration 90% perspiration
Yeah, it's not like, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah,
so you need to like sweat and tears and put
yeah.
many hours to do what we do and yeah it's and how
No shortcuts.
no no shortcuts I something I now I'm working also in games at uh and like I guess like movies and games it's like not surprised that many people likes that so and I'm very lucky because I see different ways to work different kind of outcomes of like the creative process narrative process obviously there are some differences but they have a lot of in common I feel like animation and video games
Mm,
and one thing that I admire or um I'm a bit jealous from the game industry and goes there because it's like you have this indie the indie kind of like scene on video games
yeah,
it's way stronger than or they have the tools to make the living on
mm,
more independent depending how you I mean what do you want to do no? The big games AAA games and super budget even bigger budgets
yeah,
than movies and there are like solo developers that can manage
yeah,
to and the reality is also like I read like not all the people can get a living like that but
yeah.
unless there are the platforms like Steam
Mm,
and other like Epic and things like that
mm,
but I feel like in animation or in movies or cinema in general like there is not that kind of like window or
mm,
it's much more narrow you have Vimeo or you
yeah,
can directly sell your stuff but
yeah,
it's slightly
yeah.
different that's yeah
Even we're saying that an animation now is much more. You see, the varieties has increased since we start till now, and it's much better. And mainstream now is so many different things. I think video game is ahead of that. You can have something like Death Stranding 2 now coming with Hideo Kojima on fire doing this huge
yes
big thing and then crazy great new way of storytelling with this and that. It's amazing thing. And then you have something like Hollow Knight, more old style, and it's very simple. These friends of mine are doing something. I don't think it's released yet, but it's called The Devil Inside Me, something like that. I may be saying wrong. Devil Inside Me. It's for PlayStation. I think it's not released yet. And it's very indie, small studio, and it's such a beautiful, well-made game. Also, very, very unique the way they're telling the story of a character, and that attracts me a lot. The way they can tell a story in a very different way. While in animation you are more limited on the medium, video game you have open doors to try different things.
I don't agree that it's more limited. It's just different.
It's very different, yeah.
It's
very, I mean,
so you can do certain things in animation. Like for me, animation or cinema, like and this maybe you can direct the. It's not the same. It's like in video game you have the interactivity or the interaction. So you give something, but you lose something in the narrative. And if it's a narrative, because it can be just pure, like a pure gameplay-driven kind of platformer or something like that. The narrative, it's as like a visual, it's good and it doesn't need to have any narrative at all. Just and in the other hand, in cinema or in animation, like as a medium, like the you can it's like telling a story or giving a book to someone to read the story. If you give the book to read the story, maybe the tone in his inner mind is gonna be different. But if you tell the story, if you could like you can put intonations, you can put voices, you can drive this person or bring this person to certain place that maybe if he read it by himself, it's not gonna be there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I was with a problem. I mean, I know Kojima is one extreme case of somebody which really avant-garde on video game. He was listening to this interview and he was talking about the idea of at some point, because since everybody plays the video game in a different pace, if there's a way that create a way the soundtrack adapts to the pace you're playing with. So if some people like this speed playing, like doing things super fast, so the soundtrack will play faster according to the way you play. But if you're more the kind of, I mean, depends on the kind of game, but depends if you're more those profile of gamers that you like to take your time, look around. That's maybe the same soundtrack adapts to your pace and your style, and using AI, which is amazing to me. To me, there's the next level where you can really tell a story different way and adapt to the reader. It's something like a comic book, for example, has that just in the cinema would never have. The timing you give your own director when you're reading the comic book, comic strip, 3 panel. Because in your brain was faster or shorter, so it's harder to put that into a different medium. So I think in that sense, video game has some tools that animation or live action doesn't have. I just say it's different. It's not better or it's just different. But it's that makes me really very, very curious and really interesting exploring more.
Maybe next project it's a game for you, or
who knows?
It can be. I mean, games are very broad. Can be something that is interactive in some way, but it's very narrative driven. So that's I mean, there are a lot of like paths to follow there. But yeah, what I was also referring is like the way you can like, for instance, when in an indie movie or like a small project, like and I see the developer normally it's if it's an animation or live action or something, it's very maybe sometimes very secretive, and you when it's finished is where you start to promote, or you can maybe some. And in games sometimes you have this kind of creating community before you really, so when you start you show work in progress, you have your Twitter or your Instagram, and you show like and you start showing stuff like and that creates community, creates some audience there. So when you release the game, they bought it,
Mm.
and then but I feel like that it's kind of missing on cinema, and I think maybe live action it's a bit more difficult to do because the medium itself, but in animation, because it's also like in terms of process, it's very long. It's like video games.
Yeah,
I I feel like
yeah,
you need, like, I don't know, but it's my
yeah. I
opinion,
mean,
of course, and
I think they try,
it's
but you say
only.
it's more difficult. For example, for the other day on the Valentine Days, no,
Mhm.
14th February,
Yes.
I saw Todd Phillips publish on Twitter an image of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn with Joker,
Uh-huh.
image of the movie he's preparing right now. So
Oh.
it's a kind of like a way of showing something related to the, okay, we have a season thing now,
Mm.
Valentine's. I'm making this movie. Probably is going to be, I think, next year,
Mhm.
but I can show this as a kind of tease to start warming up people. So it's not as a game, but I think now we can do more things like that. Not as sophisticated as a video game, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like, so okay, I think I told you I'm gonna take you like 1 hour or something. It's almost 1 hour and a half. I guess you need to work today,
Or,
but just to wrap, I want to ask you just a few questions, very simple, straight.
okay.
So okay, so the first, it's which one is your favorite of, if you have one movie, and if it's not animation movie, your favorite movie overall, like which one is your animation movie?
I mean that's very hard to say because it also depends on your mood. Sometimes you are into this new mood, or sometimes you're into the, oh, I want to see this musical, I want to see this. It's very hard to see just one.
One that you
So
revisit the most, maybe?
live action, I think, that's tough. That's very tough. I think probably the one I watch most is A Single in the Rain.
Oh, wow, interesting. I I
Yeah,
need to sing in the rain. I need to watch it. I never watched it. I know
I
I
think
know the scene from Francine. It was Jing, no,
Jim Kelly, Jim
Jim
Kelly,
Kelly, yeah.
Jim Kelly.
But I
Uh,
don't. I
Sally Donin, yeah, Jim Kelly. I think that's the one I have watched most.
Shame on
I
me.
think
I didn't see it.
for
I'll
one
watch
reason
it.
or the other. And animation, yeah, it depends on the day. But if you ask me right now, I would say, since we've been talking before the recording a lot about Japanese animation, probably I would say Tokyo Godfathers.
Wow, that's I watched that one a few times, and it always hit me. Like I
Yeah,
know what is gonna happen. It's like,
yeah, but still,
yeah,
it still hits you. I think Satoshi Kon is one of the greatest
yeah.
ever.
It was a
Ever.
big loss to.
Mm,
I mean, he was on the top, or I think
yeah,
we miss many movies like he.
yeah. I mean, for another podcast, I will tell you the story that I was about to do a project with him.
Oh
Never happened.
no.
Yeah,
Okay, let's
for another
extend
day. Another day.
okay,
Another
another
day.
day. Sorry. Wow. That's and which show you will recommend now, like a current show that you're watching or you recently watched it that you will recommend?
The thing is, my son is now 13, so we try to watch things together. So maybe he's a more limited in terms of the spectrum, the kind of things I watch. We try to watch things in family, and now we are watching a lot together. We are rewatching because now I can show him some certain things he
Mhm.
wasn't able to watch before. So lately we are watching again Naruto Shippuden.
Naruto.
I mean,
Naruto. How
uh,
many episodes has that thing?
it's crazy. I mean, One Piece is not as many as One Piece, but that's for animation. I think it's still great, even though it's old, but still
Yeah,
great.
I
If
see.
you ask me for more recent one, things I like,
Or
I like,
will recommend me to watch maybe. I
yeah,
um,
animation or live action
it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. I mean, I try to watch everything. I mean, one show, but I think you know this one is one of my favorite ever. Is Usavich.
Oh, so yeah, I know the one. I visit one the Caravan.
Studio.
Yeah,
Studio.
yeah. It's,
Okay. But again, sometimes I watch shows or movies to kind of disconnect from what I'm doing.
uh,
So that also works in that context. For example, one show I used to watch a lot just to refresh and disconnect from everything because it really helps to. What is this? Is also another anime is Bobo.
Bobo,
Really,
the guy with the
yeah.
no hair.
So
I
that
don't
really
know.
helps to.
It's really a silly comedy,
In
but
fact,
it's really funny. Yeah,
in 5 minutes, I don't care about all the worries I had in the work. They just
yeah.
totally forgotten. So
I
that's great.
I watch a lot of animation with my kids, but also like if I want to see more, like for instance, Pinocchio, obviously Guillermo del
Mm.
Toro, I watch it alone because it was
Yeah.
my kids were scared. Basically, I try to show it when I think the PG is
Yeah.
not for, but
It's a bit too
I try.
dark.
Yeah. Sometimes I do that. I'm not a good dad. I try to squeeze some, like I watch with my daughter Himetsu no Yaiba, that she, and this is not, but it is just and things like that. Anyway, well, my little trick is I watch the like movies and series when I'm washing the dishes.
Mm.
So with
Yeah.
my iPad, we have
Yeah.
like this like open kitchen thing, so we have little
Yeah.
counter there. So where
Screen.
I'm super
Oh,
slow
that's great.
washing dishes,
That's great.
but is
Oh,
it?
that's great. That's great. Yeah. I normally use the podcast for those moments, but yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah,
That's good. That's
yeah,
good.
but it's
Mm.
my little,
Mm.
and yeah. Last question.
I mean, one recent movie. Sorry, one recent movie I watched. I really recommend for last year. Decision to Live.
Man, I this is what I was complaining before. This is one movie. It's in my to-do list. It's no way to get it here in Japan.
So it's
Yeah.
one of the best movies in the last 10 years, 20 years. I think it's
Uh,
actually is now a master. It's a perfect movie. I can watch it over and over, and the soundtrack is amazing.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. This is in my list, and I really want to watch it. Yeah, and okay. The last question: if you can invite something to the podcast, which one do you, or if you want to see someone in the podcast, who will be this person? Can you name someone? I will try to reach out and bring it.
Mm. I mean, I think if you can bring, mm, 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 I think certain roles that maybe you're seeing, as you're saying, are less popular. So maybe for example, like the rigger or look deaf artists.
The,
We were mentioning before Jonathan
the rigger
Catalan.
is in every single episode.
Yeah, but for example, yeah, Jonathan Catalan is a great look deaf guy now. Emmy winner, Oscar winner, Spanish, super nice, super humble guy, one of the most talented persons I've ever met, and he's a great artist. Or if you want to look for some producer, but really also those people make the
Yeah.
movies happen, and they're
Yeah.
not really considered.
Next episode, I have a great producer and ex rigger. So I hope it's gonna be the next one. But yeah, at least at the time recording is how it was planned.
And also maybe some composer, music
Oh,
composer.
yeah, composer. I don't
The
know.
experience I had with Aitor Pereira in the Pony movie,
Mhm.
man, 50% of the movie is his.
I
With
uh,
the,
I will reach out to you to if you can put me in
yeah,
contact.
yeah. He's such a great
Thank
soul.
you.
You know.
Okay, so I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much for your time and the
My
patience
pleasure.
to reply all my silly questions.
No, it's great. It's great. I mean, the thing is that we've been knowing each other for such a long time. We are talking about this and that and how important it is to work with the right people on the right project, and we haven't worked together yet. So when it's going to happen?
Well, I don't know. when you won. But
We
yeah,
have to make it. We have to get. You have to
yeah.
look for the project. Let's talk. Let's talk after this podcast and see how we can make it that happen. But yeah,
Yeah, that would
really
be
looking forward
amazing
to them.
for sure.